My boss thought she could bully me into coming to work sick, not realizing that decision would cost her the entire department. I worked as an operations project manager at a growing company. The pay was decent, and my coworkers were genuinely great. They made the days easier, we helped each other out, covered meetings, laughed in the break room. It definitely felt like a place I could grow. The only downside was my boss, Samantha. She wasn't openly cruel, just the kind of manager who thought professionalism meant ignoring human limits. Sick days were treated like personal failures. Emergencies were inconvenient, unless she was the one affected. That became very clear the week I got food poisoning. Not the mild kind, the kind where you're running to the bathroom every 20 minutes, shaking, sweating, barely able to stand. I didn't sleep at all. By 3 a.m., I was shaking, sweating, throwing up, barely able to stand without getting dizzy. I texted her at 6 a.m., well before work started. I said I was violently ill, couldn't stop vomiting, and wouldn't be able to come in. She replied, "Can you at least log on from home? We really need you today." I told her I couldn't sit upright without throwing up. Her response, "This isn't elementary school. You don't stay home just because your stomach hurts. You're an adult. Push through it." I spent the next 2 days stuck in my bathroom, phone buzzing with messages asking for updates, deadlines, and whether I'd be available later. A doctor confirmed severe food poisoning and ordered rest. When I finally came back, still pale and exhausted, Samantha called me into her office. She didn't ask how I was. Instead, she said, "Your absence caused delays. You need to be more reliable in critical moments." That's when something shifted, because just 2 weeks earlier, a recruiter had reached out. I hadn't been actively looking, but I took the interview out of curiosity. The offer came in while I was sick. Better pay, better hours, even the office was closer to where I lived. I hadn't accepted it yet. I liked my team. I liked the company. I wanted to believe Samantha was just difficult. But sitting there while she lectured me for being too sick to leave the bathroom, I realized something very clearly. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was the preview. I went back to my desk, opened my laptop, and accepted the offer. Then I wrote my 2 weeks' notice. I handed my 2 weeks' notice to Samantha that afternoon, right as we were ramping up for the busiest season of the year. She didn't explode. She smiled, the tight kind. Then she looked at me and said, "So, this is because you were sick?" I told her calmly, "It's because I realized this is how it's always going to be." That's when she showed me exactly what working for her really meant. Overnight, my workload doubled. Projects that had never been urgent suddenly were. Tasks she'd previously handled herself were quietly reassigned to me. It was subtle enough that she could deny it, but obvious enough that my coworkers noticed. And they weren't surprised. People in the office had already started pulling away from her. I wasn't the first one she'd treated like a liability for being human. I was just the one leaving. The closer my last day got, the worse it became. By the end, it felt less like a notice period and more like punishment. On my final day, Nico pulled me aside and said quietly, "Good for you. She did this to me when I had the flu last year." I started my new job the following month. That was 3 years ago. I'm still in touch with a few people from the old office. They told me that not long after I left, 2 more people quit. Hiring slowed, then stopped. Word got around fast. In our industry, it always does. Samantha couldn't replace us. She had to absorb most of the workload herself. Sometimes I think about that week I spent sick, apologizing from the bathroom floor, worrying about deadlines instead of my health. And then I think about where I am now, respected, trusted, and treated like an actual living person.